All right, we'll do that there, and we'll do that there. Okay. So I've asked myself this question. I have a signature move that I've used for years. So I just bought these shoes before I came here because I thought they looked very European. Like in America, I probably won't wear these, right? They're kind of like his. Like I look like him now. Like, yeah, man, I'm stylish here. In the US, like I'll probably still hide in the closet. But for me, ever since I was a kid, when I lived in California, and even now I do a lot of yoga, believe it or not. I'm gonna do hot yoga tonight at 6 o'clock. Anybody wants to come with me? Uh, I like being grounded, so I don't like wearing shoes when I teach. I'm gonna take my shoes off. That way, I have to wear fancy socks. Now I feel like I'm more grounded into my teaching. But as I get older, I wonder if like maybe I should stop doing that. Like if people won't take me seriously anymore. You know, like if Michael the boss came down here, I'd probably be like, oh man, I gotta put my shoes on in a hurry. So now we got the shoes off, which means to me I'm ready to model. All right, come on in. So, got to close the door behind you though, please. Okay, so here's what I want you to do. We're going to start off with some tech standards so we get the skill piece going in here. I need you to go ahead and download your own version of this thing so that you're working on it within your environment. I don't want anybody touching this one in here because this is just the shared example one. So make sure you download it. And then after you've downloaded it, let's go ahead and launch it within your native desktop application. Yeah, vStudent, thank you for asking. Okay. Depending on your environment, you may need to enable editing. I don't have any macros or anything else in here that requires unique security, so everything should work okay. Everybody got their own version? General rules for today, since I am recording, if you have quick questions, like Rosita just asked, great, love it. But if yours is like, hey, I can't make it work right now, wait until we take a little break and I'll come help you because I can't really get up and stop everybody else to help you while the recording is going on. My suggestion for you that way is instead nudge your neighbor and just be like, hey, Praslava, can you help me with this real quick? And if they can't figure it out together, I'll help you at a break or something like that. Okay? All right. Here are the beginnings of your standard operating procedures then. So now I'm working in your version of the model. Before we go ahead and get started, let's just make sure that we have the same thing in front of us. You should have these tabs. Overview, number 1. Rent roll, number 2. Sources and uses, number 3. Cash flow projections, number 4. Debt detail, number 5. And pitch summary, number 6. And if I print preview the entire workbook, you should have in front of you now, I think it's 19 pages still. Is that right? You got 19 pages worth of a template? Yes? I get thumbs up from people periodically or a head nod? Yeah, that's what I got? Okay, good. That way, make sure everybody's tracking. Okay. So, some of you might think I was lying and say I don't actually open Excel every morning, but I wasn't. I'm also not lying when I say anytime I build a workbook, even if I build it from a pure blank scratch, the first thing I'm thinking about is version control. And the way that I think about version control is through file naming conventions. So the file naming convention that I want us to use here is going to work like this. So let's do a file and a save as. Make sure you're saving it, number 1, in a place you know you can retrieve it from easily. In the US, it's horrible. As much as I love Noah, we all work on Chromebook. Oh, you got a Dell today, but that still could be a Chromebook. In the US, when you go to gymnasium high school, they all learn on Chromebooks. Chromebooks don't have local storage. Chromebooks only have cloud storage, and it's often wired through what we call Google Classroom to save automatically in places for you, where many of my students never know where to find their files. So for me, I'm always very intentional about file structure and file naming convention. So wherever you want to store it, I'll show you where I'm going to store mine. I'm putting it into my work drive, where this is me. I'm Al. I'm the president of Al Kaminsky and Associates. And we're here where I've worked a bunch of times. Right now, I'm here with you in 2025 for Module 5. So I know exactly the logic of where I'm going to find everything that has to do with this project. So file structure for your folders is the first thing I'm always thinking about. Second thing then is a standard naming convention. So the standard naming convention for me usually has 3 variables associated with it. Variable number 1 is generally the project that I'm working on. So that's usually a different client. So I'm working with a company called True Fragrance right now, for example. I'm working with you. You're a university right now. So I usually use field number 1 for client. The second thing that I'll use, number 2, is I'll use a naming convention for what are the contents of this file. And then the third thing I'll use is a version stamp. So for us in here, maybe we want to name it something like this: AAM5, Acceleration Academy, Module 5, dash. What is this thing? This is financial model. Dash. The version I usually use as two constructs. So today is 2205, and then space, I can do V1. So this would be Acceleration Academy's Module 5. This is our financial model from today, version 1. And then maybe in an hour, we're going to have a version 2. And maybe in an hour and 20 minutes, we'll have a version 3. And then that way, if in a week, I'm like, hey, everybody, let's go back and look at the one we built last week, you've got the ability to rewind. So these are my conventions: folder structure, 3 character within the file name. When I teach this back in the States, I'll often add a 4th character, which is, because I have to grade these things, I'll actually usually ask my students to put like their last name in it so that I can go ahead and find the grades easily. We don't need to do that in here because you're not turning it into me, but that's another one that I'll use. So now you've got something that you know as a tech standard that makes your work easily retrievable. That's the first thing. Questions, comments? Otherwise, on we go. Second thing. So my significant other, you saw her in the video, Erica, also works in finance. What you wouldn't believe in our home is the amount of printed pages of Excel you'll find laying around. Because our discipline, for the people who are my age in this world, the people who are the CFOs and CEOs now who are in their 50s, we all grew up on paper. And if you want me to do analysis with you, those of you who were working on your phone yesterday, I don't know how you do it. I can't see, I can't work with it. I'm a grab a piece of paper and pen person still, and I circle things and I highlight things and I make notes, and then that way I can go back and ask, actually, how is it that you're getting an 8.8% return with a rent roll that looks like this? Because I'm seeing right here. Because we don't all sit around the same screens together, we're often still working in paper. So printability, is another core skill that you have to have if you're going to be working with financial statement analysis and presentation. What that requires then is that after I've got a file folder, a file naming structure, now I got to set up printability. And that starts with headers and footers on everything. So as we go to headers and footers, I also have a standard convention that I use. So let's go to page layout. And from page layout, we need to get to page setup. And I use this little button right here for page setup, because within that tab, we're going to go to the header and footer tab. From the header footer tab, then, I want you to hit custom header. And then I want you to be in the center section of the custom header. By the way, if you ever need me to like, hey, stop and pause for a second, just raise your hand and go, could you just slow down for a second? That way you can nudge a neighbor. If I don't see that, I just keep going. And I don't want to go too far ahead of anybody. I think our pace is okay for right now. My standard construct for header structure is this. Because we named our file so well, we have right here a variable called file name. It's ampersand bracket word file close bracket. Then hit enter. And after that, the icon right next to it is the tab name. Ampersand bracket word tab close bracket. It's these two variables that if you hover over them, you should be able to see them. So that if I then click OK, and then if I hit my print preview, from my print preview, you should see a header up here that has your file's name, AAM5-Financial Model-2205V1, and then beneath it, you should have the name of the tab that we're on, which is Overview. Eleanor, could you close the door, please? Claro? How do Dutch say, like, you get it? Understand? What is it? Begrijpen? Oh, shit. You're gonna have to write that one down for me. All right, you guys like Okie, O-K-I-E. Do you guys use that? I see people write me that all the time. Okie. I'm like, what the hell is Okie? It means like okay, right? But no, it's okay. It's more nicely. There's no nice in finance. All right. Now notice when we print previewed, though, I don't have anything in the footer. So we also use a standard text setup for my footer. So again, to page layout, page setup, I want you on the header footer tab, this time custom footer, and in the center section, we're going to combine both text and variables. So the text, type the word page. And if you'd rather do it in Dutch or Bulgarian or Italian, whatever, I don't care. But this is then the word. The word is then followed by a variable, which is page number. Ampersand, open bracket, word page, close bracket. Then a front slash, which is again a typed text character. And then the variable next to it is number of pages. Bracket, word pages, close bracket. And then when you click OK, and then you hit print preview, it should, if you're looking at your entire workbook, you'll see down here, it should say page 1 of 19. And then if we start to scroll through, it should be 2 of 19 on the second page. But when we get to 3, it's 3 of 19. Unfortunately, when we get to 4, I gave you raw information. Unfortunately, and I actually have some people I know who are working on some of these AI API interface things. A lot of what you do, if you're going to work in finance or in real estate, is you're taking data from external sources that may not be mapped perfectly to the environment in which your boss or your organization wants you to work. What does that mean? Erica, my partner who works in finance, she has to type data from PDFs all day long because the units of analysis report their financials on PDF. She can't get access to their data. So she's working with printouts. That's why I said you see spreadsheets all the time. I am often working with market-based data that I'm downloading from things like a Morningstar. Or you might be importing things from like an Oracle accounting database. So oftentimes you get stuff raw. So that's why we start setting up this structure so that we know what we're working with. The bummer in Excel is, though, we applied that header footer to the overview tab, but we haven't done it to the rest of them. And the reason we haven't done it to the rest of them yet is we're not sure what the orientation and sizing and print areas should be. So we're going to do that same what do you call it? Set of standard operating procedures for header and footer on the rest of the tabs as we move along. So that's standard header footer. Now, I'm going to go and just start typing in here the next big thing, and this is what makes you more proficient in Excel. So I'll often ask students like, all right, who in here wants to admit I stink at Excel? Okay, at least one of you, two of you, three of you, four of you, five of you, six. Great, that's fine, right? Remember, I'm just trying to move the needle. How many of you think that you're at least okay? You can get some stuff done. Yeah. All right. Anybody a jock in here? Anybody want to go toe to toe? Anybody want to see if you're as good as me? Somebody can. I bet you there's someone who's better than me. And that's great. You should teach me something too. I don't know everything. Where's your name tag? Where's your name tag? No computer, no name tag, just a bagel over there. Having a blast. Okay, navigations. Here are the different navigations. Number one, and I try not to be an old curmudgeon about this, but even Erica. So Erica, not only does she work in Excel all day long, but she is often driving to her clients. So she's got like a really bad shoulder from driving all the time. So it's like, all right, honey, can you rub my shoulder? Sure, fine. That I don't mind doing. But because she works in Excel with a mouse all the time. Anybody got an external mouse in here that they're using? All right, you carry one with you. She does too. The research has shown, though, that the hand position on a mouse is depreciative to your wrist over time. And so she actually wears a wrist guard now. And I'm like, all right, how unsexy could this be? Right now, you can't move your shoulder and your wrist is like this because she works in Excel for like 6 hours a day. So I am a keyboard only guy. See that? Perfect wrist. Here's why. Number one, I work on arrows exclusively. I play Excel like it's a video game. I know I'm going left, right, down, up, left, down, up, right, down, up, left. I'm not even looking. So I start with arrows. That's how I move around. Then, number two, I also know this, that arrows can be used like this. I can use shift plus arrows. So that if I want to hold down shift and go left, I can grab left and right columns or rows one at a time. Then I also know that I can do what's called control plus shift plus arrows. Watch what that does. So here I can go shift down, 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 down. That's fine. Or control shift down once. Control shift down once. Control shift down once. Control shift up once. And now I'm block selecting. so that I don't have to use my mouse and go. The last thing then we do is control plus arrows, and that's this. So if I'm sitting in F9 right now, if I do control left arrow, I know it's going to jump me to B9. And then if I go back, control right is back to F9. Look what it does. It jumps you between the end values. So I know from B9, this will take me to B12. This will take me to B15. This is going to take me down to B22. And then eventually it's going to take me down to the end of the spreadsheet, where I'm now in row 1,048,576. I've seen people go like scroll using the mouse up, control page up. Now I'm back to B43. So arrows, shift arrows, control shift arrows, control arrows. This is the way that we navigate around the spreadsheet. It's the kind of thing that just takes some practice. Those of you on Mac, I think it does the same, but you may have to use like the command button or something like that. I have no idea what the command button is, but that should work for you. Okay? Excellent. Then, the last big efficiency tool helps me always answer the following questions. Whenever I'm working in Excel, I'm always asking this: what am I trying to do? So if, for example, I'll just keep it simple for now. I'm trying to make something bold. The first question that you answer then is, how do I do that? Those of you who've learned Excel, how did you learn it? Practice is the best. How else? At school, you guys, do you have a class that you take in Excel here? Back in high school? Okay. All right. Anybody watch YouTube for it? Have you ever followed people on TikTok who give you like the Excel little things? My students walk those. Oh. I have a grant right now where I am building basically a class that Illinois high schools will use on Excel. I'm old school though. I'm still an F1 button person. F1, function one is the help function, where I can ask it things like, how do I do bold? And then it will tell me, here's how you do bold. I'm still old school that way. But now you figured it out. How do I do it? When you figure out how to do it, though, there's generally 3 different ways that you can do it. So way number 1 is through, see that? Now we'll use our navigation to get around, is menu navigation. Menu navigation. So we were before on page layout, so I'll just sit here. So menu navigation is what I took you through for page setup. So that's, for example, I can use my mouse, I can go to home, and from home, I can find the icon. So way number 1 is menu navigations with icons. That's the most basic way. So menu navigation with icons. Second way that you'll learn how to do it is the shortcuts, which would be like control or command plus, right? Like control B or command B turns my bold on and off. I use these regularly, and I like this site here, EasyJet 222. Oh, no, sorry, not EasyJet, ExcelJet. It's not EasyJet. Excel shortcut 222. What is it called? This one, Excel Jet, not EasyJet. So this one has over 200 different Control plus or Command plus shortcuts that you can use for things like, not BOD, bold. Right, so that's what I'm saying. It's either Control B or Command B. So there are hundreds of them that are pre-constructed for you. Once you get good at this stuff too, you can actually build macros. Macros are just repeated commands in Excel that you can assign your own shortcut commands to, so that you can do something like control and then control and then 6, and it will automatically do a series of commands for you. So that way is pretty easy too. Like I just use Control W. Like I use this in Chrome all the time. Control T to open a new tab, Control W to close a tab. It works in other than just Microsoft products. What's nice about the command that are shortcuts, they work in Excel, they work in Word, they work in, not all of them work in Teams, they work in PowerPoint, they work in Power BI. So it's cross-platform, which is nice. But because those are limited, this is when this comes in. And now if you're on Mac, I'm recording. You can't do it. And this is on purpose because Mac and Windows are intended to compete and not work together. So for example, I showed you this: page layout, page setup, header footer. And that's how we got to our header footer tab, right? Or Alt PSP. So let me show that slowly this time. So let's say I started on my home. Watch what I do. When I hit Alt, I get a series of keystrokes that I can use. F is the file, like Alt FA is save as. I use it all the time. Alt P. P is page layout. That little button I showed you before up here is SP. So there's SP. And then I know I can use my arrows to move between them. And then once I'm within header footer, I know this. I can actually, within a screen, I can use tab. See how I'm moving between fields? And once I highlight, you can use spacebar. And then you can use tab between these things too. So I can do all of that without ever touching the mouse. So Alt plus, like I use Alt PSP all the time for header footer stuff. I also use like Alt HFA all the time for alignment related things. But look at every time I'm doing something like that, I'm just following the visual commands. Like what if I wanted to insert a graph quickly? I know that's Alt, N for insert, and then I know that C1 are column graphs, and then Enter says, let me just go ahead and start building a graph. So you want to take your Excel to another level, that happens right here on your Alt plus stuff. So that's where we're starting in terms of your skills. Those are all of the actions that we need. Okay? Question? Or you're good? All right. Should I stop, pause for just a second? Are we okay? We're good. Excellent. So for example, when you saw me before and I said I have all these different tabs for us, you see how I'm moving between those tabs? That's Control page up and Control page down. So I want you to do Control page down, get yourself to the rent roll, because now we're ready to get to work on our rent roll. All right. Once you're in the rent roll, print preview for just the active sheets and see what we have going on here. You should have 11 different pages of what looks like just pretty nasty, unformatted, and empty cells. The only data you should have is in columns A through F right now, and then you have some headers somewhere else. Step one, let's go set up our headers and footers. So go ahead and get yourself into your center section so you can use your file and your tab and then your custom footer. Get your page and your page numbers so that when you print preview, it should look something like this. Should we turn the lights off? Is there a glare on the screen? What's that? Of course I can. Is there no garbage can in the room either? All right. Do you guys want the lights off? Does it matter? I can't see. It's glaring when I'm trying to look this way. Well, you can be in charge of mine too.
First you do the Kevin, then you do the.
Ooh, that's good. Yeah. All right. Ready? The navigation is page layout, page setup, header footer tab, custom header. Once there, the icon for file name, enter, the icon for tab, okay. And then I always like to print preview as I'm going just to make sure it worked. Then, page layout, page setup, header footer, custom footer, and what goes there is first the word, then the variable for page number, then a slash, then the variable for number of pages, then okay, and then you can preview it. Noah, how do I say it again? I gotta write it down. How do you say like begrijpen? How do I spell that? Begreben is begrijpen? Begrijpen. All right. Does that sound all right? Where's begrijpen? Gotta practice swallowing some marbles. Get better at this Dutch. All right. Oops. All right. So let's remind ourselves now what it is we're trying to do. So when I talk about keyboard stuff too, like you've seen me doing this stuff all the time. Do you guys know how to do that kind of stuff? Do you do this ever? How do you do that stuff? Alt and tab, yeah. So I'm gonna Alt tab back over here, and I want to make sure that we are building towards my answer key. So this is what we want the rent roll to look like. So our goal is to get this thing to look like that. Alt and tab. Alt, hold down Alt and then tab. And what's cool about this too is if you have all these windows open, once you do it more than twice to the same window, then I'm just doing it one at a time. It's going just between the two of them. So I can double check between it. Alt tab. Okay. So I'm going to first focus on the formulas with you. I'll show a couple of the quick shortcuts on the aesthetics and the colors and all that, but I'm not going to spend a lot of time with that because I want to deal with the math first. Okay. So let's go ahead and first deal with all of our base rents. So when yesterday we were looking at this, I said marketing people, running a building is price times quantity. Instead of cups of coffee times price per cup, we are going to do equals. And we're going to do our per square foot rent multiplied by our footage. And that should give us our first rental value. That's okay. Step one equals, now I'm using arrows, 2 to the right, multiplied by, and then I'm using my control to get myself all the way over to the 4659. And that's my first formula. Enter. Then depending on your keyboard, I am constantly using either F2 or function F2. That's the command that lets me see inside of a cell. It's called like formula editor mode, I think. You guys know you have F keys on your computer? Yeah, at least one of you know. Good. Okay? Because now, this is the gangster stuff, right? Watch. Control C. I'm now holding my control left arrow, and then I'm going down to the bottom so that I can go over and come up to the top and hit enter. And I just did all of my formulas at once. Don't be mad at me. There's a bunch of different ways you can do this. Way number one, I made sure my formula is right. I can copy, just hold shift and go shift to the bottom and then enter. But I started with the shortcut command of copy, control C. Or you navigate using this control stuff and you go beep, doop, doop, beep, boop. Nope, I missed. Yep, control C is copy. And then get all of those things in there. Okay? And then that way too, I always go back and I backtrack to make sure that my formula looks right. Because we just did what you would call a variable formula. We didn't augment our formula so that when we moved from here, F4, B4, we copied and pasted, it went to the next row, F5, B5, and F6, B6, and F7, B7, etc. In a minute, we're going to do a slightly different variation where we're going to fix our references. So that's the first. Okay. Second, then, we're now going to calculate that monthly by just doing equals the annual and divide it by 12. And then copy paste that thing. Control C, move it here, get to the bottom over there and done. And then spot check. Did that work? Do your numbers match mine? Do they look the same? And then let's cross check against our answer key. Alt tab over here, 9224, 5125. Yep, looks like we're matching up okay. All right. Can I keep going or do you need a second? Hearing nothing, on we go. All right, let's look at something like this, base rent. I want to show you something in here so you now start to focus a little bit on aesthetics. Notice how base rent is centered between columns G and H. You may notice too, whenever you do a brand new spreadsheet, if I look at a column, a standard column width is 8.09 in Excel. If you look at the one that we're building, my standard column width I gave you as I was using 12 for all my columns. 12 is the minimum width that you need in order to be able to present thousands with a decimal or millions without a decimal. So I use a 12 as my minimum column width here. And if you notice, if I grab all of these columns, if I grab as many as I like, and I ask what's the column width, they all come back as 12 because I went ahead and before I gave this to you, I made them standard column widths for you. Now, how did I show you this so quickly? I'm using Alt commands. Watch. Alt, H for home, O is for cells, and then down there is W for column width. So Alt H O W, or go back to basics. What am I trying to do? Trying to show you the column widths. How do I do that? Menu navigation plus icons is the most basic. So home will allow me to look at my cells where I can look at their format, where I can look at their width. So that's how I look up column width. And yours are 11.89. So when I put it up to Sheets and then you download it, sometimes it changes them just a little bit. As long as it looks okay, that's great. Otherwise, ready? If I start on footage right here, Control Shift right arrow. Look, it's selected all the way out to column BS and then Alt H O W 12, enter done. So if you'd rather have yours as 12, feel free to reset them. If it looks great, then don't worry about it. But that's why I don't like using Sheets as an intermediary. Okay, so this is what I'm gunning for right now is this base rent. So I'm going to teach you something that I think is actually fairly critical. Modeling is dynamic. Things are changing all the time. I oftentimes find myself going, I'm halfway through, I'm like, oh, darn it, I forgot that thing. And now I got to go back and redo it again. When you insert, delete existing rows and columns, you're going to want to do it without cells being merged. Many of you have probably seen merging before. So let me take this off for just a second, just so you can see what it looks like. And then I'll show you again. All right. So if you look right here at how this started, in cell B2, I have the words typed base rent. I want to center them across columns G and H. What I see many people doing, which is a reasonable skill to have, is what's called merge and center right here. So that's the easiest way to do things. The problem then becomes, though, if I try to insert new columns, it inserts more than I want because it's looking at two columns. It thinks it's two columns instead of just the one that I want. So I don't ever merge and center. I hate merge and center like there's no tomorrow. What I like is formatting cells. So here's what I'm going to show you what to do. I'm going to select G and H, and I'm going to go to Cells, Format, and then I'm going to format the cells themselves. Look at all of the different tabs you have within Format Cells. There's basic ones like what do you want the font to be? There's a ton of borders on this page. You can do it from this level too. The colors are on this page. Eventually, we do things where when I build a model that I hand to others, I lock certain things so that they can't break my formulas. So all of that stuff is in here, including this thing called alignment. So in alignment, I'm going to pick under the horizontal tab to center across what I have selected because I selected G and H. So I'm centering across a selection. Now it has that selection. And so now Alt HH, What? Alt, Home, oh, H is fill colors. It's this little icon right here. So that I can fill this thing a nice little green. So that's a slightly different approach to an Excel skill, not merging and centering, but centering across selection and fill coloring. So now that I have base rents, should look something a little bit like this. But now look, I've got all kinds of shading going on here too over that lease term. So when you are away from me and you're doing this at home and you want to work as the aesthetics, you can go ahead and play with things like filling in the grays and filling in the borders, which are off that home tab over here. I'm not going to spend any time doing that with you right now, but you can see how we start to make the aesthetic match. I'm more worried about structure and format. All right, we're going to drop a couple of more quick formulas, then we're going to take a quick break. Then I'm going to show you how easy it is to apply all this stuff. So let's come back over here to footage. And on the bottom, I gave you already, is it in there already? You have a sum formula down in B31, is that correct? So that tells us we have 61,303 square feet. So I just wanted to make sure that I had a chance with one formula to show you an affixed reference, A-F-F-I-X, affixed, anchored to. So suite number 101 occupies 4,659 square feet of my total 61,000 square foot building. So the affixing works like this, equals, I'm going to point to the footage, I'm going to divide, and then I'm going to go down to that 61,303 number. There's two different ways that you can do this then to affix the reference. Your keyboard may be different, but the basic command is watch what happens when I hit F4. F4 is my affixing reference. And when you hit it once, you'll get a $sign in front of the column, B. You'll get a $sign in front of the row, 31. And that says, always look at B31. Where, if I do B $sign 31, that says, let the column vary, but keep the row always 31. Whereas this one, $sign B says, always make it column B, but let the row vary. Whereas when it has none, it's let the column and the row vary. So on this one, I want $sign B, $sign 31. If F4 doesn't work for you, try function F4. It's the FN key on your keyboard. And if that doesn't work for you, you can just type the $sign in front of it. You can just go ahead and I can just click right over here and I could just type $sign. So however it works, doesn't matter to me. I need equals B4 divided by $sign 31. And then that gives us our share. And then if you copy and paste it once, notice when I update the formula, it goes, oh, I went from B4 down to B5, but I'm still on B31. When you have all those, copy, paste, and then you should have all of your formulas that will allocate your percentage footage to the entire building, 61,000, where it equals 100. Command or Control S to save. And let's go ahead and stop the recording for now, and we'll take a little break.